On episode 651 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we discuss how to design your perfect running program after 40. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/651. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness, the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is here for you. Each week, we dive deep into health and fitness topics that affect those of us over 40. I'm Coach Allen. I'm an NASM certified personal trainer with specializations in corrective exercise, behavior change, performance enhancement, and fitness nutrition. A Precision Nutrition Level 1 coach, a FAI certified functional age-linked specialist, and an OTA Level 2 online trainer. Each week, I'm joined by our co-host, Coach Rachel. She is an NASM certified personal trainer and a RRCA Level 1 run coach. Let us be your coaches as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. Hey, Raz, how are things?
Good, Alan. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. I am back in Bocas.
Good. Good to see you back.
And I got back and it started pouring down rain. So that's a double win. We're getting water.
Oh, right.
So
That's
I'm
good.
pretty happy about all of that. And then I'm reorganizing my office space and kind of getting that set up. I've been on quite a few podcasts already. I think I've recorded somewhere around, I want to say like 57
Oh my goodness.
that or somewhere in that range. And so they're coming live. And it's just too many for me to sit there and just like go through a list of them here. But some of them are really good. The interviewers were awesome. The questions were awesome. And the interaction was really cool. You can go to 40plusfitness.com/media. And basically you're just going to see a page that has them all like listed out, and you can go into each one and click through to listen to it. But yeah, a lot of really good conversations, and I've signed up for quite a few more. So yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed having those conversations and kind of flipping the script where
Nice.
where I'm not the interviewer anymore. I'm just sort of the guy in the background.
That sounds awesome. How fun.
All right, so how are things up there?
Good. We just got home from our little trip too. My daughter got married over the weekend. The wedding was wonderful. It was wonderful to see a lot of family and just celebrate with the kids. We just adore her new husband, David. He's a great guy, and his family is just wonderful as well. So we're very happy that they get to start their lives together.
Well, good. I'm happy for y'all.
Thank you.
All right. And we are going to actually flip the script on this episode.
Right.
And because today we're going to talk about running. So with that, Coach, I will turn it over to you.
Well, thanks, Alan. I always love the opportunity to talk about running, and I could talk all day long. So you might need to keep me under good reins today. Just a quick reminder for our listeners, I am an NASM certified personal trainer, but I also got my level 1 running coach certificate through the Roadrunners Association, RRCA. So I've had that a few years, but I have actually been running for 25 years. It's a long time. I've got a lot of experience, a lot of stories. And I just love to share what I know with friends, family, and my athletes that I coach week to week. But today I want to talk to new runners. If anyone out there is interested in starting running right now, this is a perfect time to start. The weather's great. Summertime running can be super fun. You've got the longer days and plenty of time to do it. But I'll just hit on a couple of things real quick before we get super into it. Running is a great has a lot of physical benefits. It's good for your cardiovascular health. You get your vigorous exercise done pretty quickly. It's good for bone density. You develop good muscle strength and endurance, and it can be a valuable part of any weight loss journey. So there's a lot of physical benefits to running, and equally important to that are the mental benefits. It can relieve your stress. It does improve your mood, and believe me, it does burst your energy levels. I run every morning and I feel ready to hit my day off running. It can also improve your sleep and leave you feeling well rested, which is super important. And throughout your running journey, it can increase your feelings of confidence and strength. Every milestone, pun intended, is one notch in your confidence. Once you run a mile, you feel very accomplished. Running 2 miles, it's a great milestone. Running a 5K, another milestone. I mean, you get hit with regular opportunities to improve your physical and mental health right off the bat. So it's really good for you. But I also want to eliminate a bunch of common myths out there. Running is not bad for your knees, everybody. I hear it all the time, even now. Running is actually very good for your knees. You don't have to run to be a runner. A lot of runners walk. There's a whole program out there for people. There are people that can run a full 5K or even a full marathon without stopping. That's fantastic, but not everybody does that. Walking is a very important part of a running program. And you are never too old to start. It's a study way back in 2019 showed that the average age for 5K runners had increased from the average age of 32 to 40, and even marathoners had increased in age from 38 to 40. It is not unusual for people to start running in their 30s. I was in my late 20s when I started, and even later than that. So you don't, there's no age to start running. You can start today if you were inclined to do that. And on that particular note, I do want to make sure that before starting any running or any exercise program, that you do meet with your doctor and make sure that you have some level of clearance and from them. If you have underlying health conditions, diabetes or any heart disease, those are really important conversations to have with your doctor, just so you know that what might happen as you begin a running program and you do it safely. So when I have a new client, when somebody comes to me, we do a lot of chatting. First, I need the doctor clearance, of course, and we discuss any other medical conditions, any medications you take. We talk about what you do for a living, any other hobbies you might have, and your stress levels. Running is a stress, just like exercise, but it can be a very good stress. But we obviously don't want to add to that. So if you've got a lot going on, you've got tons of deadlines with work, kids are running all over the place with school and extracurriculars, you're moving, like this would not be a good time to start a running program. So, you know, you can start exercise at any time, but you don't want to add to your stress. You want this to relieve your stress. So we talk about things like that. The only thing that I really want you to have as you begin running is appropriate footwear. I do recommend that you go to a running store to have a fitting for shoes. It's sometimes a little bit of a sticker shock. Running shoes can cost, you know, $100 and more, but it's the most important piece of equipment that you'll ever have. And it's way more cost effective than having to go to the doctor or a physical therapist because you were injured for not wearing good footwear. Your feet take a beating, which means going right up the kinetic chain. Your ankles take a beating, your knees take a beating, and your hips take a beating. So your footwear, your running shoes are the most important thing that you could have as you get started. If you're a new runner, like I said earlier, you do not have to run right from the gates. I actually recommend that you start a good walking program first, and maybe even look into the Jeff Galloway walk-run method. The great thing about the walk-run method is that you begin with a little bit of walking, and then you can do run-walk intervals. So you might maybe run for a minute and then walk for a minute or 2 minutes even. You can have all sorts of intervals based on what your existing physical fitness is and how you are feeling when you're actually out there on a walk or a run. The great thing about this is that you can set the timer on your watch or maybe on your phone and do a run walk interval minute to minute for maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on your fitness levels. And the whole reason behind the run walk method is that it will control your fatigue and your soreness so that you're not feeling so exerted while you're out there. When you're on the run interval, you're not sprinting. This isn't a race. You are just going to run at a conversational level. You're going to breathe a little heavier. Your heart rate will go up a little bit, but you're not sprinting to the finish. It's more like a jog. And then you get the walk interval to come back down to homeostasis. Bring your heart rate back down, walk another minute or two, and then repeat for maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And then you would end that session with another 5-minute walk and a cool down as well. So it's a good way to control your fatigue levels. It will speed up your recovery since you're not exerting yourself. It will reduce your aches and pains so you don't feel the DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, after you run. And it's a really great introduction to running. I highly recommend it, especially for people who are just starting running or maybe coming back from an injury. It's really the way to go. And if you are feeling good and building endurance, you can increase the time that you're out there. Maybe go from 10 or 15 minutes of run walk intervals to 20 or 30 minutes. You can even increase the time that you're running to maybe 2 minutes of running, and then reduce the time of your walking to maybe a minute. And you can alternate with these intervals so long as you feel good about it. So as you spend some time doing this, let me just take a minute to say, no one runs every single day. It's not, you need to have a rest day. You could get by with running 3 times a week if that's what you want. Running could actually enhance your weight loss program. So if you're spending time in the gym, if you're playing pickleball with your friends, or golfing, playing tennis, running can just fit right in there with any other program. But if you decide that running is something that you really love, kind of like I do, maybe you might want to sign up for a fall 5K. Fall is definitely racing season, and the Thanksgiving Day turkey trots are a super popular run every fall. And it's probably one of the most family-friendly events that you might consider. And you've got the summer, you've got plenty of time to train for it. A lot of training plans, especially for the 5K distance, you could spend between 8 and 10 or 12 weeks training. So you've got more than enough time if you were interested in doing a turkey trot this fall. If you go any farther than that, you need a little bit more time. And if you're interested in marathoning, that's a whole other issue. You'll want to spend a lot more time training for the marathons in the fall. But there are plenty of training plans out there. Once you've gotten through and you've developed some level of stamina, maybe a mile or 2 on a training run, you should feel very good about signing up for a 5K or aiming for a 5K. And there are plenty of training plans out there. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of the Couch to 5K training plan. There's a lot of different variety of that style of plan that could get you ready for a fall 5K. And there's and I'm happy to answer questions too, or develop a more customized training plan for you if that was something that you're interested in. When you are running, I want to make sure that you, before you go out to run, you do a warm up and a cool down. It's important to bookend your running with a warm up. So we do dynamic warm-ups. We do arm swings, leg swings, squats and lunges, hurdles, high knees, butt kicks, all sorts of dynamic kind of bouncing style of warm-up activities. Then you do your run, and then you do your cool down. And in your cool down, you could simply take an extra half mile or an extra 10 minutes or so to relax and walk on your maybe way back to your car or to your house. And then when you get home, I do recommend some sort of stretching. And I actually program yoga into my athletes' cool downs, just so that they can stretch and be entertained at the same time. And it's a lot more fun than just kind of standing there and doing your traditional quad stretch. So then for food and hydration, this is where sometimes eating before a run gets a little tricky. You do need to think about that. You may not want to have a breakfast with a lot of eggs and bacon. Too much food in your stomach will really aggravate your stomach on a run. You might want to have something smaller, maybe toast with peanut butter, a bagel with cream cheese, just a small amount of food to get you started. You want to draw on the energy while you're digesting and out there, but you don't want to have so much that it gives you stomach upset. Runner's trots are a thing. They're not very fun. You also want to start off hydrated. At this point, think of your food and your hydration as fuel for your engine. You want to eat before you go, maybe an hour or a half hour to an hour before you run out there. You want to have a full tank of hydration. Water is just fine. Electrolytes can be helpful if you're a heavy sweater. And it's the same thing once you finish your run. Once you come back home, you may not feel hungry, but you do want to have a little bit of a snack, a little bit of protein and carbs, because you did do some muscle damage on the run. You're strengthening your muscles, you're breaking them down a little bit. So you need the protein to rebuild what you've damaged on the run. And same thing with the hydration, especially in the summer. You could sweat buckets out there, and it's not that you want to replenish every calorie or every ounce of water 1-to-1, but you do want to help your body heal and recover after that activity, so that you're ready to run another day. So it's important to take that time for recovery. Other recovery activities that you might have heard of, compression stockings or compression sleeves for your calves help promote blood flow. There are percussion guns out there, different types of massage tools. You know, if your muscles are feeling tight, then take the time to foam roll or use a lacrosse ball in the tight spots, and make sure that you get enough recovery, because you don't want to go back out there and do more damage and just pile on. That's a quick way to get injured. So you want to give yourself enough time to recover. And like I said before, 3 days a week is plenty of time to start running. And once you get more comfortable with every time you go out there, you can add a day or two to the plan. You still definitely need to maintain, I would prefer 2 rest days per week for sure. And on those rest days, it can be an active rest day. You could do a lot of walking. You can go hiking or get your bike out or play tennis and pickleball and all these other fun activities, but you do need to allow your body enough time to rest before you run right out there and run again. Then it's the summertime and the weather. That's why it's such a great time of year to get running started. The days are long, so you can get out really early in the daylight before work. You can stay up late at night, or not super late at night because you do need good sleep, but you can run later in the evenings with run clubs like I do. So you have all the time in the world to get a run in each of the days. But when the weather gets as hot as it has been here and it gets humid, you get a high heat index, and that is the recipe for disaster. So just, take your time and stay super hydrated in that heat kind of weather. Or just skip that day and wait for the weather to clear. You're not going to lose any fitness by taking an extra day off, that's for sure. And fall is racing season. The weather comes down, heat index goes down. It's really perfect weather. You'll see your speed increase in the fall. That's why it's racing season. A lot of marathons are run in the fall. And yes, you can run in the snow. I run all year round. I strap on my Yak tracks and I make snow prints throughout the winter. So running is one of those activities you can do all year round, so long as you are prepared for it. And it can be very enjoyable to run in the dark, in the snow, and at all times of the year. But you can also take the winter off. A lot of athletes do take the season to do other sports, enjoy the snowboarding or skiing or do something different, and then come back to running in the spring when the weather gets better again. Running could fit in any lifestyle. It doesn't take long. You don't have to go out there and run 5 miles a day. You can even make it a 1 mile day and still get the cardiovascular benefits from it. It is a great program to enhance any weight loss journey. Just keep your stress levels low. And it's something that you can come back to at any time you feel ready for it. So as those are pretty much the superficial notes that I wanted to share with all of you listeners out there. But if you did have any questions or need some help choosing a training plan, I am here to help. And I can even develop a more customized training plan that addresses how you want running to fit into your life. So just reach out to me or Alan, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Well, Coach, I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay.
My pleasure.
Okay. So a beginning runner
Hmm.
who's never run before,
Hmm.
if you were just gonna like chart out kind of what their first, say, 3 to 6 weeks would look like. You
Hmm.
know, they've been cleared by their doctor. They don't have any physical conditions. They're in generally good health.
Uh-huh.
They just have never run before, but they like the idea of it. What would you advise them
Hmm.
to do?
Well, we would talk about it, but I would like to see a training plan include about 3 days a week of running. And on each of those days, we would start with a warm up, a 5 or 10 minute walk, and then 15 to 20 minutes of run walk intervals. It's really the best way to start. We would end it with another 5 or 10 minute walk and a cool down of stretching when they got home. And we can squeeze that in, however it works within their schedule. We can make that a half-hour day or a 45-minute day, however much time that they have to dedicate to that. But it would include a lot of walking with a little bit of run intervals sprinkled in.
Okay. Now someone who isn't really injured, but really believes that, or has heard and kind of believes that, running can be bad for their knees.
Hmm.
What are some strategies that you feel they could put in place to make sure that one, uh, they're not doing something damaging to themselves? They have what they need, their form is right, and just
Hmm.
general run, how they can run to make sure they're protecting their knees.
Well, we could talk about shoes, and I would actually send that person to a running shoe store to get fitted on shoes. We would look at their gait to see how they're running. If they're doing a lot of heel striking, then there's some things that we can work on to make it more of a midfoot or forefoot strike so that they're actually landing on the center of their body, not too far ahead, and on the middle part to the front part of their foot. Shin splints and can kind of migrate to the knee. And so it's not an unusual, it's actually rather a more common first timer. And I'm not going to say injury, but muscle soreness are shin splints and knees. And it has a lot to do with the form and the gait, but as well as the shoes. But it's important just to try to work through that. I mean, you don't have to have a perfect gait to get started. Sometimes it's like you're learning to get your running legs, kind of like a sea legs if you're on a boat. So it takes a minute to develop a really fluid gait and to get comfortable out there. So I would just say stick with it and practice until you feel more comfortable.
Okay. So someone who's going to go out, they're going to do, 30, 45 minutes 3 times a week, and they're getting ready for their first 5K. Should they be
Hmm.
buying all the goos and the nutrition packets and the water bottles and
Right.
all this stuff that they
Hmm.
see people using on TV for the longer races?
No, if you're working on a 5K, and I would even wager to say a 10K, which is 6.2 miles, the 5K being 3.1 miles, you don't need all of that extra stuff at this point. That 5K or 10K that you're out there for, you can pre-hydrate and pre-eat. That breakfast that you ate and the drink that you had before you went out there is plenty to get you through the duration of that event. And even 5K races have water stations. So if you did feel incredibly thirsty, you have an aid station for you. If it's a super hot sunny day, maybe you could bring your own little water bottle from home. Even those disposable one-time use water bottles is just fine to carry with you. You don't need to go to too much of an expense to buy all this stuff. And it's the same thing with the nutrition. If you had a solid breakfast, the morning before your race or morning before your 5K, that is definitely plenty to get you through to the finish line. Even for a 10K, you're only going to be out there for a small length of time. You can go an hour without a snack. So, or 2 hours without a snack even. And there will be food usually at the finish line of most races. So you don't really need that until you're training for much longer distances.
Okay. Now you talked about running at night, and you talked
Hmm.
about running with snowshoes,
Yeah.
not the big ones that look like tennis rackets, but like little cleats. But um,
Yep.
But when we're doing that, there's some safety concerns. So what can we
Yes.
do to make sure that we're safe when we're running? Because not everybody has access to a track, not everybody has access to certain things. So what are some key things we should look for as far as safety?
Yes, first and foremost, people, please always run facing traffic. If you have to run along the shoulder, and the shoulder of the road should be very generous, and it should not be a very main traveled country road or something where your distance is short. Please always run facing traffic. That way you can see the cars coming at you. And whenever you enter an intersection where you might need to cross the road, you need to be aware of that car that's coming at you. Drivers are so distracted these days. So it's really up to you as the runner to pay attention. I know that sounds controversial, but it's the best thing to do is knowing what's coming at you as far as traffic goes. If you're going to run early in the morning or late at night, even if there's daylight, you should wear bright colored fluorescent clown-like clothing. You want people to see you, and the more obnoxious colors you have on, the better. A lot of athletic apparel is gray and black. I totally get it. It's just easier to match,
It's so
but
slimming. It's so slimming.
it is very slimming, but you blend right in with the road that you're on. And so you want bright colors so that people can see you. They also make a lot of fluorescent vests, the high vis that you might see construction people wear. They do make vests that are for runners. They also make lights that are for runners. There's all sorts of blinking lights you can put on you, on your cap, or as a vest. And the more lights you have on, the better you can see and also be seen. And if you are running alone, I run alone quite a bit. Always tell people where you're going, and you can put in all these different types of emergency situations on your phone and on your watch and all these things. But I actually always recommend running clubs. There are plenty of people out there that you can meet in the running club. And then when you develop these friendships, find out you've got some people that are around your same pace or doing the same things you're trying to do, then you can make arrangements to meet them outside the running club and run your town or local trails together, and just safety in numbers.
Okay. Now, a lot of people will ask me this question. I have my answer, but I want to kind of hear yours. Is
Okay.
okay. So they're going to work out. Should they do their resistance weight training before or after they do their cardio training?
So this is a fun question. It's sometimes hard to do two things at once. It's sometimes hard to be the best you can be at two things. So it depends on what your key goal is. If you are training for a race, if you've got a 5K coming up this fall, for example, do your running first. You want to expend your energy, the food you just ate, the hydration you just drank, and have the best run that you possibly can, because that's what's going to get you to the finish line of your race. If it's off season and you're not running for anything in particular, you're just running to train, then you could do your weights in the morning or your other activities before your run. But just because I'm a runner and I'm always training for something, my run comes first, and then weight training would be later in the day. And I say that because you need to give your body enough time to rest and also to refuel and rehydrate. So if you want to have a good lift session, you have to position yourself for success with the rest and food and hydration before you do that as well.
Yeah, that's what I generally say. If you can split them into two, I usually do
Mhm.
my cardio in the morning. It's cooler, I can get out and it's fine. And
For
then
sure.
in the afternoon, since I'm going to be in an air conditioned gym, typically that's when I'll do my resistance training. If you find
Perfect.
yourself in a situation where they both have to be somewhat combined into the same workout, I
Mhm.
I typically say do the resistance training first. Yes, you have pre-fatigued your muscles, but then when you go to do your run, just take that into account when you look at the time. You're not going to
Mhm.
be as fast as you would have been if you hadn't done that work before, but you are
Mhm.
still building that cardio endurance, that muscular endurance, because you did the work, you pre-fatigued the muscles, and then you went
Mhm.
out and did the work.
Solid strategy.
Okay. I guess the last one I would have is this. A lot of people do get excited about having a streak.
Mm.
So if someone said, my goal is, because I know I'm a tires person, I do the mindset thing, and there are people who are tires
Mhm.
people and they want to see that consistency. And they do get this excitement about running, every day, doing something every
Mhm.
day. If someone just decided they needed to run every day or they wouldn't run at all,
Mhm.
how would you advise them to structure that?
Ooh, that is really hard, Alan, because I have done a number of running streaks. Actually, in 2023, I maintained a streak for the entire year from January 1st to the December 31st, an entire year. And there are streaking associations out there
This is
where,
not the streaking from the 70s when they were running around.
right,
This,
no, fully clothed, fully clothed run streak. And usually to maintain a run streak, it's a minimum of 1 mile per day. And I think that there are bodies out there that are capable of running streaks. I mean, there are records being set all the time. My father-in-law had a friend who maintained a 40-year running streak, 40 years of running a mile every day. There's something to be said for people whose bodies are able to tolerate that. The 1 mile streak I did for the 1 year, there's something to be said for my 50-year-old body to be able to tolerate that. However, it is definitely not for everybody, and it can actually become a little bit obsessive. Um, if you're running with an IV bag after surgery, that's a problem. And I don't recommend running after having a tooth pulled or, any sort of procedure that involves sedation. It's just not right. It's an obsession at that point, and it's not a healthy obsession. So I guess for somebody who would like to run more often than 3 days a week, we can talk about it. We can see what your fitness level is and what your body can tolerate. But you don't want to run your body into the ground. There is a such thing as overtraining and overuse injuries. And that's where you're going to have joint problems and knee problems and fatigue. Your hormones will get out of control. And there's just there's a lot of things that can go sideways if you let that happen. So streaking is definitely not for everybody. But it's something that I would definitely talk to with the runner, but also make sure that they talk to their doctor as well.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. I'll talk to
You
you next
betcha.
week.
Take care, Alan.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you would, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast player of choice. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we discuss how to design your perfect mobility training after 40. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.